Hi, everybody. All eyes on what will be Tropical Storm Debby and southeast impacts. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, keeping you up to date on all things tropics. This is set to impact Florida, including Disney World, Universal Parks, and then stretching up through Georgia into the Carolinas, where Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Wilmington, the Outer Banks could all get a lot of rain from this. So let's get right to it. I want to give you the latest. Please let me know in the comment section where you're watching from right now, and we'll get right to it. This is where we got to dial in on this year, guys. Is we're talking about a very active hurricane season, and that was especially true in July when we were tracking Beryl, an unusually strong Category 5. This is a different system. It's not quite as strong, but it's a sloppy rainmaker, and honestly, that's what this storm is going to be known for. Is as it travels toward Florida and the Carolinas and Georgia, it's going to be a really big rainmaker because it's a slow mover. Here's the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. As you can see, winds will get up to 70 miles per hour. So it's not out of the question that we do get this very close to Hurricane Cat 1 status. Now, with Orlando, Central Florida being on the right side of this, the east side of this, we can't rule out as we go into early next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday's time frame, that we could have severe weather in Central Florida, including Disney. So if you have travels that are in and around Disney parks or Universal parks, know that there could be some dicey weather. Yes, it'll be rain, but embedded in that rain could be some severe weather. I'm going to time that out for you so you know when your park days may be impacted by some of that risk for severe weather. Let's show you the latest trends in the models here. So there's pretty good confidence this is going to spill into the Gulf. And if you track tropical weather at any time, you know the Gulf's not an ideal place for a tropical system in our minds. For the storm it is. It's going to actually allow it to strengthen. It's warm. It's an environment that's like bath water. It allows tropical systems to kind of get some oomph. And as this moves toward the Big Bend region, Cedar Key, somewhere in that area between, say, Tampa and Panama City, it's going to be bringing in quite a bit of rainfall. Now, the time frame of this looks to be on the order of Sunday, Monday's time frame. It's a slow mover here. So as it continues to move up, the models do show it moving pretty consistently through the Big Bend region, and then moving up through Georgia, and then crossing back out over into the Atlantic, where, again, the water is warm. This could allow it to at least maintain its tropical characteristics, its tropical storm status, and give quite a bit of rain because it kind of just meanders around here through the middle and even toward the end of next week, which would keep lots of rain in the forecast there. You see the deterministic European wants to curve it back in, while the GFS does also curve it a little bit back in, but more kind of meanders it along the coast on I-95 and then up through North Carolina. So we need to watch that possible turn inward. You see the European in red right here is the only one that turns that inland of South Carolina for the folks in the upstate through western North Carolina. As it stands right now, Atlanta, Charlotte, Greenville, Asheville would not see significant rain from this unless the European verifies. If the European verifies, Thursday, Friday could be very wet across the area. It wouldn't be severe, but it would put down a lot of rain, which I'll show you new totals in a moment for I-95 East. Here are our four most reliable computer models here. You've got the plot here by the National Hurricane Center as well included in this. And as this moves out to sea, it should keep its track away. All right, so as it pulls away, we should have better weather moving in. But at the same time, as it pulls away, it's in an environment that's more favorable for it to strengthen. So let's hope it kicks on out of here because it could be a pretty strong tropical storm, or at least a moderate tropical storm. So the good news here, and I want to say this responsibly, okay? It doesn't look like wind is going to be as big of a component. That doesn't mean this is not a dangerous storm. Of course, many times you'll hear us stress it's not the category or the wind that brings the danger. It's honestly the flooding and the inland flooding threat. More individuals lose their lives from flooding than they do wind, okay? So don't let that lull you into a sense of security here, especially along the Carolina coast and Florida. This could have severe weather, including isolated tornadoes, and it could have flooding with it. Very likely will have flooding. But the idea that this becomes a very strong Cat 2, Cat 3, it's just not in the cards for this system because of, one, its proximity to land and just kind of the environmental conditions. Here's the GFS broken down into all of its different runs. You see the density here showing, okay, pretty good pretty good consistency in the forecast. You want to see the red line and the black line be in unison, and that's what you have here. The red line would be that deterministic run that comes out 3 times a day, and then the black line is an average of 51, or in the case of the GFS, about 20 to 30 different runs of the GFS model. What we do is we tweak it a little bit at the beginning. Slightly different starting position, slightly different starting strength. That way you kind of account for all different variables, and if you end up at the same forecast, you can kind of hang your hat on it. And in this case, both those models agree, which is what we want to see. Let's get down to impacts. There's another look at the GFS ensembles. The SHIPS model, which is one of our reliable computer models, does blow this up into a weak category 1, winds at about 75 miles per hour at landfall. So it is possible we have Hurricane Debby. The impacts would be relatively same if it's a strong tropical storm versus a hurricane, but don't let that surprise you if you do see this. Oh, wow, it became a hurricane. All right. It's not going to strengthen into a monster one, but the impacts will be quite plentiful there with the rain. Speaking of, all right, let's break this down. If you're at Disney, if you're at Universal, if you're vacationing at the beach in Florida, I want to give you some timing here. So Sunday is rain. Okay, rain is coming in, but it's Sunday night into Monday. Monday looks to be the most severe risk in Central Florida, so isolated tornadoes. So if your park day is Monday, know that you need to have a way to receive warnings. Of course, all the parks are very good at giving you those warnings, but know that it could be a dicey day. The lines may be better at the parks, but know that it could be rough for you at times, okay? Now, for you folks in the Big Bend region of Florida, I mean, you're going to be seeing gusts up to 75 miles per hour. You'll have downpours and consistent winds. Sunday night, Monday's the time frame here on the European model. It's slowly moving. So most of Monday is a washout with severe risks across Central Florida. That's the worst impacts for Central Florida. By the time you wake up on Tuesday, there's still some rain over Orlando, but it's pulling away. Now the greatest rain is over Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head Island, and Charleston. And it's just going to be really, really windy, 40, 50 mile per hour winds. Monday, Tuesday, as many are going back to school this upcoming week, especially toward the end of the week. So we're keeping an eye on this. As we go toward Tuesday, most of the impacts are over Savannah, Hilton Head, and Charleston. Tuesday, Wednesday, it's back out over water, and notice how our numbers, the lower the number here, the stronger the system. We go from 1,002 to a 996. This is back out over open water, so it could have an opportunity to strengthen. That said, the core of a system, the core of a tropical system is always that east-northeast quadrant, so that would be a couple 100 miles out to sea. That said, there's going to be some big bands of rain coming into Charleston, Hilton Head, and Myrtle Beach. Notice the Western Carolinas are dry and should remain dry, and really with a pretty nice northerly wind. Charlotte, Atlanta, Greenville included in that. Now it's a 988 low. This could be a hurricane sitting off the Carolina coast. Now again, those impacts hurricane status-wise are 100 miles out to sea, but that's still bringing in some rain. All right, in this scenario, 985 low, 984 low, possibly a tropical storm or hurricane, does bend back toward Myrtle Beach or Charleston. This would be Wednesday night, Thursday. This, according to the European, could make a second landfall after going back out to sea, then kind of meandering back over. And in this scenario, it would bring some rain, not severe weather, but some rain to Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, up through Charlotte and Asheville, okay? So that would be Thursday night, Friday's time frame, where we could get some pretty good rain, but not severe weather in the Western Carolinas. Remember, any severe weather is on the east side of a low like that. And then finally, by Friday night, this thing's weak and kicking out to sea, and we're ending up with a really decent weekend. So that's the European model. Let's show you peak wind gusts. Notice as it makes landfall in Florida, it's got wind gusts up to 47 miles per hour. Again, Sunday night, Monday is going to be your worst time frame in Central Florida if you're on vacation. And then as this goes back out over water, notice those reds, notice those oranges. Those are 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And again, we've got to watch that. That's the latest European. Let's go back to one more run and kind of show you. There it is. Yep, that's hurricane status showing up on these models. That'd be 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts according to our scale at the bottom. And some of those could make their way inland again. And you see peak wind gusts could get up to 35 or 40 miles per hour toward the end of the week if this system should make its way inland. And again, the European model is the only one that shows that. Let's take a look at rainfall totals. If this were to hold true going into the end of this week, this is a slow-moving tropical system. I mean, the European's a little bit of an outlier here, but it's showing 10 plus inches. This model, and again, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but this model is painting 18 inches of rain in Charleston. If you've ever been to Charleston, 4 inches of rain does a lot of damage. So we got to watch it. That's a bit of an outlier here, but it is a slow-moving tropical system that we need to stay dialed in on. All right, let's look at the GFS. It's a little more reasonable, a little bit more down the line. That said, it's got a pretty strong tropical storm, if not a hurricane, a little bit closer to Panama City than it does the Big Bend region, but nonetheless, it's moving up, crosses into South Georgia Monday. So again, Monday's your go time for Central Florida severe risks, and then it moves into South Georgia, into the Carolinas, into Tuesday. It's a little more close to the coast where no rain gets into the western Carolinas. And for that matter, it's a couple hundred miles out to sea. So the most of the rain is out to sea in the GFS scenario here too. But it too sends it a little bit closer back and strengthens it back to a hurricane here. So the possibility is here that we have a meandering hurricane off our coast where it could make a turn back to the west and make landfall by Wednesday, Thursday's time frame in Charleston or Hilton Head. This GFS model, the latest one here, does have a similar vibe to the European. It's just a little bit more to the south. It does bring in rain to the western Carolinas Thursday, Friday's time frame, and we need to watch this, okay? We need to watch the possibility that this does turn into a more beefy system for the Carolinas. So landfall in Florida looks to be a tropical storm, maybe low-end Cat 1. Then it's back out over water, where you have to know that the water off of the Carolina coast is very warm. If that were to happen, this could allow it to strengthen back to a hurricane, which you see that typical, circle look to this. That's a core of a tropical system with some strong winds on all sides. That would be Wednesday, Thursday. Then you got some brighter colors showing up here, which are 60, 70 mile per hour winds. We could have a hurricane off the coast. And in this scenario, it shows 60 mile an hour winds moving into Charleston and Hilton Head, while we get into some 35, 40 mile per hour wind gusts toward Greenville, Spartanburg. So got to watch that. Let's look at the rainfall totals on the latest GFS because the trends are a little bit more west toward the end of the week. Monitoring it closely here. But you see toward Florida, you got 8-9 inches of rain possible for the Big Bend region. And then here's the deal with South Carolina. Could have a meandering hurricane or tropical system that could become a hurricane. And look at the rainfall totals on the GFS model. I mean, sitting right there close to what the European had at 12 to 14 inches of rain for Charleston. And then this thing starts to buckle inland where those totals are still piling up, where Savannah into Charleston, a meandering tropical system, by the time we get to Friday night, has brought 8 to 10 inches plus. Now, again, the models are a little bit bonkers here, but you've got two reliable computer models here painting 12 plus inches of rain over a week on Carolina coast, okay? We've got to watch this. That would be significant flooding toward the coast. And the trend here is if it does meander inland, we could get in on 3-4 inches of rain Thursday, Friday in the upstate of South Carolina. So again, we are watching it. It's one of those things where we're dialed in on. Of course, you know that this system needs to get back out over open water. Then we got a pretty good idea of where it's going. But the takeaway here is Florida Sunday, Monday, tropical storm, hurricane category 1 impacts directly there at the center. This is not a wind maker at first. I do want to caution you if this gets back out over open water in the Atlantic, very near Charleston, Hilton Head, that it could strengthen again. And it could be a slow meandering storm Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, just sitting there over the warm waters off the Carolina coast. Then it buckles left inland where it could bring in slow-moving rain and some pretty strong winds along the Carolina coast. That would be Wednesday, Thursday's time frame. We're dialed in on it, folks. Make sure you stay tuned. The key here is that these systems will change. The impacts will change. It's just the nature of the beast, okay? It's not us just changing the forecast. We're on top of it. We're going to keep you up to date with it, but by nature, these storms are a bit finicky in the fact that small changes right now lead to big changes downstream. So Carolina Coast, putting you on alert right now. You could have some significant rain and some strong winds. Florida, you're first. We'll be watching it for you. Folks, I'll have another update for you later on. Have a good Saturday. The time is now to prepare for Florida rain, for Carolina, big rain. For the Western Carolinas, right now my forecast is for dry conditions until we get to Thursday, Friday, when we could see higher impacts. We'll keep you posted.